Now at 6, Tropical Storm Laura is on the move, passing through Cuba and expected to move into the Gulf and become a hurricane. Tonight, parts of the Florida Keys remain under a tropical storm warning. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jackie Nesbro.
And I'm Jawan Strader. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we have team coverage on the storm and the potential impact it could bring to the Keys. We have Jamie Guirola standing by in Key West, but we'll begin tonight with South Florida's Chief Meteorologist John Morales. John.
Hey guys, yes, so here's the satellite picture of Laura there south of Cuba, setting this in motion, and you can see its movement towards the west-northwest, pretty distant from here, okay? It's passing 300 miles away from Miami, currently about 250 miles to the south of Key West, moving west-northwest, expected to pass the Isle of Youth and then into Pinar del Rio in Cuba, and eventually into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to happen during the overnight hours and into the course of the day tomorrow. Now, the other system, Marco, is degenerating into a very weak tropical storm, maybe even a depression. So that won't be much of a factor. But Laura, as you can see, threatens a good portion of Texas and Louisiana with significant winds and a storm surge, too, which could be in excess of 10 feet. So there's tiny little Marco, just 40-mile-an-hour winds as it's arriving just to the southeast of New Orleans. But here's Laura, 60-mile-an-hour winds right now, moving west-northwest at a pretty good clip, 20 miles per hour. And as we look at the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center, you can see how once it leaves Cuba, and that's going to happen late tonight, it starts to gather strength. So, for example, by tomorrow afternoon, 70-mile-an-hour winds. By tomorrow night, 85-mile-an-hour winds. And then we get to Wednesday afternoon, 100-mile-an-hour winds, and the potential for it to become a Cat 2 hurricane, if not more, because the waters are very warm, somewhere between Houston and Lafayette, Louisiana, by the time we get to Thursday early morning hours.
Okay, John, thanks. And our team coverage continues now with NBC6 reporter Jamie Guirola.
He's live in Key West, where they are experiencing tropical storm winds as Laura moves across Cuba. So, Jamie, have you felt those winds out there?
Yeah, I'd say that that's the thing we feel the most is the winds. It really hasn't rained much. I'd say we got the first squall early this afternoon. We've maybe had about 3 squalls since then. And as my photographer pointed out, they probably last a good 15, 30, maybe 45 seconds. I want to show you here behind me. You can see the ocean, and the water is just crashing up against the seawall and the pier. Speaking of the pier, it's like a tourist attraction up there. Tons of people are lined up, and we just got done talking with somebody who said that they got a thrill out of the water splashing onto them and to their bodies. Unfortunately, one of them fell to the ground and was injured and started bleeding. Also, we saw some kids jump into the water. That did not look very safe. In fact, it actually looked like they got caught up in a riptide. So we called 911, but they have since made it out of the water and back up to the pier. Tropical Storm Laura may just be brushing the Keys, and the weather effects may be minimal, but when it posed a bigger direct threat last week, the economy took another hit in addition to COVID and it already being a slow season. As Tropical Storm Laura swirls into the Gulf and away from South Florida, the storm's outer band still lashing at the lower Keys. Squalls from Laura finally made their way here Monday afternoon. Heavy rain and strong wind breached the shoreline, sending some scrambling for cover and others struggling to put on a raincoat. At the southernmost point, tourists fascinated with this landmark and Mother Nature. But inland, it's the businesses that are trying to get a snapshot of how hurricane season affects their bottom line in this time of COVID, especially after evacuations were ordered, then rescinded over the weekend.
Well, there's always a concern when there's an evacuation or when we're in the cone of uncertainty. I'm sure that does affect some people's travel plans.
Some restaurants like Fogarty's say they still saw a decent number of tourists, but others like Mathesine says their business went down.
We're a little slow, you know. People ran out of town thinking there was a big storm coming. That's not really here. It's not coming. Went south.
The mayor of Key West says decisions about evacuations and warnings are made in real time, and they are aware of the real implications.
It does take a bite out of your economy because you generally have to refund those monies or give people credits, and nobody likes having to do that.
All right, so yeah, an unfortunate situation here, but the Keys say that they are strong here and they know how to bounce back and they are resilient. You can see now a live look here on the coast here. You can see people are out here walking their dogs, walking with their children, taking pictures. This is quite a sight to see, but if it is done safely. Already we've seen 2 incidents of people potentially putting themselves in danger and one actually hurting themselves, and we actually now see a fire rescue truck arriving after we called 911, but they'll find that the people that look like they were stuck are actually back and safe. We should point out there were no mandatory evacuations for visitors here in the lower Keys, but when tourists hear evacuation, sometimes they can't really discern what that means or who that applies to. Reporting live in Key West, Jamie Guirola, NBC 6 News.